Once again, the time comes when a season of anime is about to end and a new season is about to begin. This is when I will compile all my thoughts about the shows I watched, dropped, or still haven't seen yet but intend to do so, and put them in a nice neat package in video format for whoever cares about them. To me, this season was filled with lots of banger shows, but also some lackluster ones as well. But overall, it was a good season, and I'm sure many of you will agree. Of course, there may be some shows that I didn't mention, which means I didn't catch up on them or I didn't watch them. So, if you guys have any suggestions on what I should reconsider, then please do leave them down in the comments down below so that I may take another look. So, let's begin with Demon Slayer. So I know Demon Slayer began in fall, but majority of the season was during this season. So I'm sure that we can all agree that this season of Demon Slayer was truly an experience. This was not a show. It felt like a thrill ride that keeps going non-stop with no breaks once it starts. Every single scene was beautifully crafted to push the viewers to the edge of their seats as we watch in awe at this back and forth action which keeps on going to the ends of each scale on both sides. The fights keep going from oh shit to hell yeah to god damn it, time and time again, all the way to the very end. Of course, we knew that the good guys were always going to win because they always do. But how they did it and the way they were able to claim the win was so satisfying that makes us feel that their victory was earned because of how many times the tide of the fight changes throughout its duration. People say that Demon Slayer's story is average, but to me, Demon Slayer is an experience, a ride that just does not stop once it starts. Of course, this is different from the manga because the manga has no animation, so everything is reliant on the story and the art. So with its anime and how good its animation is, it's a totally different experience from the manga. So, and also within the fights alone, it shows growth, teamwork, fear, anger, hope, and desperation. Demon Slayer may not be the best story, but it definitely gives the peak experience of what anime should be in recent times. So, moving on to another really universally loved anime this season goes to My Dress Up Darling. This show gave us this pure, funny and lovable cast of characters with their own troubles that eventually gets resolved in some way or another. And this show also gives a unique view of the cosplaying community and how things might work for some people starting out in this community. So we see our main character Gojo, who works at Gojo Doll where they make traditional dolls, and overall his character arc is to learn how to not be embarrassed and ashamed about his interests. And he does this through the help of Marin as she goes through life with no care of what others' impressions of her are, as she does whatever she wants despite sometimes being displayed as focusing on the wrong things. These two are the main duo of the show, with Gojo using his skills taught by his grandfather and helping Marin by sewing cosplays for her. It's a really simple slice of life and even a gradual growth of romance in their relationship, and an easy watch with no serious elements or no hard to understand story. So for people who prefer that kind of thing, this is the anime for them. So next, with the most awaited ending, Shingeki no Kyojin Final Season Part 2 is almost at its end with only one episode left at the time of this recording. It's been announced that they will wrap up the entire series in a movie format, and honestly, I actually kinda dislike this because I would prefer to watch the entire series in order in the seasonal format so that they will have no need for any wait. But of course, these companies want to make the most money from the series before the series ends, so making a movie will definitely do that. Like just what happened to Demon Slayer Mugen Train and how that became like the #1 grossing anime. So with the rumbling finally underway, we are now in the midst of internal conflicts between the Eldians on whether to support Aaron's plan or to stop him. The moral dilemma is a huge pain because it causes a lot of suffering no matter the outcome. The conflicts to choose between what is right and what is most beneficial for the audience is the main focus of the story. Hopefully, the final episode will end with a bang and a satisfying end to the season before the long wait towards the release of the movie. So moving on to like a more political-esque show, which is How a Realist Hero Rebuilt a Kingdom Part 2. So to be truly honest, I didn't really care about this season. Maybe the light novel is better, but with the way things are in the anime, it's just your average smart guy making smart decisions trope, which is what mainly bores me. Each episode, they go on talking about how to improve the kingdom and stuff, but personally, there is nothing in the show that keeps me engaged. I'm sure there are others out there who disagree and actually like the show, but for me, it wasn't that interesting and they didn't give me a reason to care about the characters and the plot. So that was the main takeaway for me. So another show that I wasn't really fond of was The Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest. This show is about another powerful guy in the past who reincarnates into the present and begins to start solving all the problems, just like Arnold's Voldigod. So, to be honest, I wish they focused more on the character regaining his full strength, like how he was in the past, but all they did was go around defeating demons, and there was no unique element to the show, which made the show feel kind of stale after the first episode. Since you knew that the main character will always win no matter what, so there wasn't really the feeling of having any stakes or risks to the story or the show or the world, so it didn't really catch me as something that good or interesting. On the other hand, The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt was actually quite entertaining to me, as it was able to consist of some lovable characters and a plot that was quite interesting, as we see the exploits of the prince as he works his way through the mind games and tricks of other royalties from kingdoms who have much more influence and military power than his. The way the show handles world building actually works, because we see how certain discriminated races affect some of our main characters, and how they feel and how they react to it. We also begin to want to learn the full extent of the prince's capability and his intentions as he increases his reputation after each challenge. It's a really good watch, and I'm looking forward to hopefully more to come with another season maybe. Moving forward to one of my favorite shows from the previous season, also sadly came to an end this season, Ousama Ranking, which came out in fall, which was a show that was able to bring out some of the best characters, from the lovable and hardworking Bochi to the loyal Kage and the rest of the cast that each had a vital part to play in the story. The story was filled with grief and suffering, but also showed redemption and success. The moment when Bochi managed to defeat his own father in a one-on-one fight was definitely one of the best scenes, as Bochi, who could barely lift a sword, has grown through hard work and sheer will to be able to face his father, who was able to single-handedly imprison an immortal being. So this amazing show, I highly recommend it to anyone who enjoys fantasy or fantastical shows like this, and to me, this show will not be forgotten. So moving on, Shuumatsu no Harem. So this show is actually kind of interesting, but overall, the plot is kind of weird, of course. So I'm sure that the story has a lot more to explain and explore, but what we know now as season 1 has, the government wants to rid the world of men, and they haven't really explained why. Maybe they don't even have a reason, who knows. However, the overall show is basically filled with adult scenes and science stuff with bits of actual interesting plots, but I really wouldn't recommend it to any casual anime watchers, but those who are like heavy anime watchers like me, and then you can do whatever you want. So, next, I'm going to talk about Platinum End? So Platinum End kind of had an ending which makes the whole show irrelevant to me, because the entire first half was them going up against this guy who was preserving his sister's body. Maybe he wanted to revive his sister or something. I'm not really sure what his objective was. But in the second half, it was actually interesting, and it was about them facing this famous scientist who wants to uncover the truth behind the God selection and the true identity of God. Turns out, there are some sort of beings that are even more powerful than the God we see in the series, and at the end, we can see Tex communicating after everything has been wiped out. To be honest, this kind of reminded me of Kado the Right Answer with their advanced beings and stuff. So to be honest, this show was quite a pain to watch. It was very edgy and really cringy at times. But yeah, I, to be honest, wouldn't recommend it to a casual watcher of anime. So moving on, Sabikui Bisco. So Sabikui Bisco was another show I really enjoyed. The show actually ended really satisfyingly, and the show was all about the world in the aftermath of the explosion caused by a giant humanoid weapon which caused what is called rust disease to be spread throughout the land, infecting people, which slowly eats away at their body until they die. So there are these people called mushroom keepers, where they go around using mushrooms, and apparently these mushrooms are able to absorb rust and purify the area. That for some reason, after a while, people started to think that mushroom keepers are the cause of the rust, but that's not the case. So the show had great fight scenes and characters, and it's a really simple yet engaging show. I only wish we learned more about Bisco's past, since all we know is that Jabi trained him. But who was Bisco's parents and where did he come from? I highly recommend this show to those who want to watch a simple, action-packed show with some mystical elements to it. So, moving on. Vanitas no Carte, second call. So this part was actually really enjoyable as well. So okay, the first few episodes where it was about the monster in the forest with the girl was kind of boring, but the show really brought out its A game when we started learning about Vanitas' past, which also caused conflicts between him and Noe, which really boosted my interest for the show. Also, before I continue, I really love the part where they made that romance between Vanitas and John. So I really love the chemistry between them. It was such a heartwarming scene and such a heartwarming relationship in general. So that was a good part of the series. Also, during the second half of the series, we got to learn how Vanitas joined the Blue Moon clan and how he could have turned out to be a very different person if not for him being kidnapped by the crazy scientists. I actually really like the opening and ending songs as well, and it was such a banger. It's definitely around an 8 out of 10 for me. So Takagi-san 3 was quite enjoyable as well. To be honest, it was carrying out the same formula it has been using for the previous 2 seasons, and I kind of wish they had some progress, but at least the ending was finally getting somewhere. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next movie, which hopefully leads to a conclusive end with them finally being together. I also watched Akebi-chan's sailor uniform, which was focusing on the daily life of Akebi, making friends and enjoying their time as friends. So it's a really beautifully animated show, and the story is really wholesome. It's one of those shows where it makes you feel warm inside once you watch it. A really decent slice of life show that I would recommend to anyone who wants a simple, no plot story. So, last but not least, we have Tokyo 24 Coup. So, this story focuses on this town, which is the 24th district, which is going through a lot of changes due to the mayor and the kanai system, which is able to predict future crime or accidents. In the beginning, the 3 main characters are called by their late friend who warns them of the accident about to happen. This also enhances their physical prowess, and the call presents them with two choices that both leads to tragedy. The story is about making choices and trying to choose the best possible path, but sometimes they fail, which causes more problems along the way. It's a really good show and a really good watch, and it shows the inner conflicts of the characters perfectly and how they deal with their problems in their own separate ways. It's a really good show, so I really recommend it. Those are what I've watched this season, and I've left out some which are like Orient and the Land of Leodel, because for Orient I haven't really watched it that much, only episode 1, and in the Land of Leodel I kind of dropped it because it was really boring to me. So I didn't really have much to say about them either. So if you guys agree with my take or disagree, do comment down below why and what did I miss if you guys do have recommendations for me. Also, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed my 2 cents of the anime of this season that I've watched, and comment down below whatever you think about what I think and about the shows that I have mentioned and what shows that you think I should have mentioned, and all that jazz. So without further ado, like, subscribe, goodbye.